I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values, our feelings, or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another Office Hours live stream. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Still coughing. Doing much better though. Hopefully you guys have had a good week. Let's see who all we got in here. Welcome to Nathaniel Zalozball, Darth Enigma, 14 BIS. 14 BIS or BIS? I don't know. I always see BIS and I think, because when I finished out my undergraduate degree, I was at a community college and then I transferred to a BIS program, which is usually a program for adults, fraternity college, which I was technically that, mid-20s or whatever. But the BIS degree was like a Bachelor's of Interdisciplinary Studies. So I always want to say BIS. Private Eye in Retrospectiva, welcome. Ghost Planet Max Inc., Nathaniel Zalozball, Darth Enigma, Big Al Presents, Ace Moic, Andre Hernandez, Electric Barbarella, Imaginative Hobbyist, so many people here. Good to see everybody. Board Brewer, Final Fantasy fan, Horrid Films, of course, my dear sweet sound engraver, already pitching her stream for tomorrow night. Leia Plus Size, good to see everybody here. Michael Skimbody, great to see you there. So, yeah. Thank you, Leia Plus Size. I sound better this week. Yeah, I do. It was a little, like I said, Saturday evenings I go to Mass and I serve as a lector there, so I read, and it was a little phlegmy today for some reason. I don't know, but better now. We'll see how long it holds up. I have been. Before we get going, I'll just give you an update. Shoot, I forgot to bring it over here. Let me grab it just for the sake of visual aid. One moment. I know last time I had mentioned that I had started reading Batman Resurrection by John Jackson Miller, and I am maybe halfway through it. I just reached Act 3. I am so thoroughly enjoying this thing. This book is everything I wanted it to be so far. I mean, a lot could go on towards the end of it, but so far, John Jackson Miller does not disappoint, and I'm going to do a good review of it. It's been great. It's been so great. This especially after some of the experiences I've had this week that I'm going to talk about, it's been so great just to revisit a universe. This is the continuation of the Batman 89 universe that I've been dying for. I got so excited when the Batman 89 comics were going to come out, but Sam Hamm had no desire to even remotely stick into that universe or stay into that same feel or whatever. Of course, the Flash movie was a garbage from the start. That's not, bring back Michael Keaton all you want. That's still not a continuation of that universe. So, I was so excited when this was announced, and I was like, dare I be excited? I've been burned so many times, but so far I'm so loving it. So loving it. So I'll do a good review of it, when I finish it and everything. Really good stuff. That there. Also, I was thinking about, and you guys can tell me if you'd be interested in this, but since I was reading that, I thought, let me go back and rewatch, Batman 89, because I rewatch it occasionally every so often, but I thought, let me try and do it with a little bit more of an analytical lens this time. And I was just seeing so many great things in it, just, from a filmmaking perspective and storytelling perspective. I thought, I could easily do a rewatch of this movie on the channel, but it wouldn't be like, Al does his rewatches and stuff like that, where it's just sort of like friends hanging out with each other while you're watching a movie. That's not what this would be. This would just be me, but it would be more like a commentary you would see on a DVD special feature, or something like that. Really kind of going into the scenes and talking about as the movie's going. You'd be watching it on your own, like we used to do, but it'd be an analytical commentary that I really can't. And you really can't give an analytical commentary, but so deep when you've got other people on the panel with you. Because everybody wants to say something and then it gets conversational and it's fine for people who want to just do kind of a hangout, and that's the point of that, which is great. But even when I buy a DVD and I watch the commentary, like I was watching the Ruben Mamelian's Jekyll and Hyde or Jekyll and Hyde, from the 30s, and it was a really great commentary track on it where they had two film scholars doing the commentary, and there were times when, like, okay, can you just shut up and let the other guy talk? All right, wait, so and so didn't finish their thought, and it was just like, so I'd love to do that, but I'm not going to do it if it's just like two people here with me, because not because I need an audience, but I just don't want to bother to do something if there's just not an interest in it. So if you guys would be interested in something like that, or not even just maybe the Batman 89 movie, but if you'd be interested in some analytical commentary on films like that in general, that's something I could start doing on this channel. I do that with my classes, when we're watching a movie occasionally for, that has to do with the content, and we'll do an analytical watch through of it, which would be great. So you guys can let me know if you think that'd be something you would be interested in. I knew that would get Michael Scombati's attention. Talking about Jack Nicholson, yeah, he's great Joker, freaking great Joker. And yeah, you think he was light years above Ledger. Ledger was great for what he did, but Ledger was in a very specific Nolan perspective. And even, one of the things that I'll, we can just we'll do a disclaimer at first or whatever, I mean, of course, Tim Burton's Batman 89 is not 100% the Batman of the comics. There's changes made, but I still think it's the best big screen live action, the closest big screen live action interpretation we've had to the real character. I stand by that. I have to say that big screen because some people will still come at me about Adam West, Big Al included. But then I have to say live action because, of course, not Phantom Menace, Mask of the Phantasm was out in theaters, which pretty hard to get it more right than that, So anyway, cool. Horrid Films is into that idea anyway. So me and Horrid Films will be there. The rest of you guys won't, but we'll be there. I got to put that on screen. West. Hello, AL. Hello, somebody else pop in here new? Stunning and Brave Megatron. Good to see you there. So, boy, this week has been just a crazy week of nonsense. Oh, shoot, I forgot to wear my Trump shirt. Sound Engraver, I forgot to wear my Trump shirt. I think it's over there. It was in the dryer. I washed it today so I could wear it on the screen. Got this really great shirt. Actually, Sound Engraver, if you're there, maybe you can slip over here and just kind of toss it to me so I can at least show it up on the screen. Totally forgot. Took a nap before the stream and forgot to put it on. I got a really sweet shirt that I really like. I wore it into the stores today. Got a few looks, but a couple people were complimenting me on it. Just like, how do we pop into this or dig into it? You might be wondering, like, why am I talking about this on my channel? I talk about story a lot, and I'll tell you that from the top because one of the things I'm going to end up talking about, it was in the dryer. Yeah, thanks. She's going to grab it. One of the things that the thing that I'm going to end up talking about is my experience with my MFA program. Spalding University from Louisville, Kentucky. They've got an MFA program, which is a low residency program. Talked about it a little bit before, and I'm going to talk about how psycho this program has gone, how discriminatory it's become, if you don't have the right politics. And you might say, oh, you're going to talk about how a college is discriminatory against anybody who doesn't have liberal politics. Ooh, newsflash. Yeah, but Spalding was different. They were always, and they still do, try to tout this idea that they are compassionate. We are emotionally supportive of each other. We're not there to be competitive. It's a program that everybody's welcome and everybody's respected. So they really try to have that reputation, but they just simply don't care if you don't have the right politics. And you're a dirty troglodyte. Go die, or at least get out of here, or at least be quiet. That's the thing. Surviving academia, if you today, like as a Trump supporter, that's the most extreme case, but even just somebody who doesn't toe the liberal political, Democratic line. Thank you. Toss it. Thank you. She's not camera ready. This is my shirt I bought, which I thought was pretty cool. It's got the Trump, the fight. But what I love about it is on the back there, you've got the original flag for the 13 colonies in the 1776. And if you keep going up, it's got the "We the People" from the Constitution behind it. Love that shirt. It's a pretty sweet idea. Sweet design. I was gonna wear it on camera, but again, totally forgot. So yeah, the big way to remember in the 90s, there was a policy for homosexuals in the military: don't ask, don't tell. Right? If so, you weren't allowed to talk about it. You weren't allowed to be openly homosexual if you were in the military. And of course, Democrats lost their mind over that. How dare you not let people be who they are, and blah 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 blah. Well, there's pretty much an unspoken "don't ask, don't tell" policy if you are in any level of a conservative in the academic world, especially when you get up to the graduate programs. I should say, too, that I'm really talking about the arts and the humanities. All right, I don't have any experience in, medical school or majoring in engineering or something like that. Maybe things are a little different there. I don't think it's too much different because it's still, you're dealing with academics. But the subject matter of, say, a math class obviously isn't going to have a lot of room for people to segue into a political diatribe, but I still think it's there. But I'm speaking specifically from experience with the arts and the humanities. And I have a master's degree in English, which is the humanities, studying art, and then an MFA degree in creative writing, which is actually a degree in the art itself, so arts and humanities. My experience with it was with an alumni group this week at Spalding University that really just something just flipped in me. Something just a switch flipped. I am sick to death of having to not just not speak up about politics, all right? Because I don't think that your school or your classes, unless it's like a political science class, I don't think it's necessarily the place to go talk about politics. But I'm sick to death of having to pretend and having to stay quiet when everybody else is spewing their garbage politics in my face, and I'm just supposed to take it. You're just supposed to be quiet, pretend you agree. If you don't agree, just be quiet. Just be quiet. Because if you dare speak up or show that you are on the different side of the political spectrum, you will be persecuted. Spalding University just treated me with vilest behavior this week. I'll get to it in a second. But it's nothing new. I mean, I've been working in the academic world for over 10 years, teaching. If you count the time that I've been studying in the academic world, probably over 20 years. I mean, it was Bush was still in office, when I first started going to school. Around 9/11, actually, yeah. I think that was when. And it happens more when you get to the graduate level because that's their place to gatekeep, right? They don't want you doing anything serious in this subject matter if you don't have the right thinking, if you don't have the right politics, if you're not going to be a good little activist for them. So the gatekeeping really comes out when you're at the graduate level. I remember I had a hang on. What is that? I think it was my phone or something. I don't know. Anyway, I was I had a class. I was working on my master's in English at James Madison University, and I had a class by a man by the name of Mark Facknitz. Still there, I think. And he was supposed to be teaching us the history of literary criticism. Useful class if you're in a Master's of English program. Now, this was Obama's first term, and it was right around the midterm elections, I think. It was when the Tea Party, if you remember the Tea Party, they were just starting to come about and doing some rallies. Now, I was very interested in the Tea Party when they first came about. I was actually attending some of their rallies. They eventually moved on to do some different things and kind of evolved into something else. But they were a big part of that midterm, election that kind of went against, Obama in the Congress anyway. And this professor, Mark Facknitz, supposed to be teaching us the history of literary criticism. Every single class, he would find a way. He'd put up a PowerPoint of some person from a Tea Party rally, and he would say, "Look at these dirty teabaggers," which, of course, is a sexually derogative name. Okay, so he's using this really inappropriate sexual derogatory name, and he finds some way to go on a rant about the dirty teabaggers, the dirty Tea Party. What does this have to do with literary criticism? Nothing, okay? This was just him venting because he felt like he could do it. He was a college professor. What are you going to do? How are you going to stop him? He's one of the good guys too, right? Because he has the right politics, and he's able to tell you about your wrong thing. And this guy, Mark Facknitz was his name. Mark Facknitz. I think it's Mark R.A. Facknitz. I want his name out there, for what little coverage my channel gets. He had his syllabus even. His syllabus that was supposed to tell us about the class on the history of literary criticism. If you've heard it from Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck, do not repeat it in my presence. What? Why would we repeat anything we've heard from a political commentator? This isn't the place for that. But it is the place for that. It's the place for it if you have the right politics. If you don't, you shut up and pretend that you do, or you're a dirty troglodyte and you get unpersoned and you get, persecuted accordingly. It got to the point where it was so bad, and this was just the worst experience was in his class. It was going on all through the English program at JMU. It was horrible. It was like a slave camp. It was just a prison camp or something. It was terrible. It was a horrible psychological experience. Really messed me up. And I remember it got to the point where I really felt like I was being harassed. Now, not directly harassed because he didn't know I was actually, going to these Tea Party rallies. He didn't know anything about me. But it was harassment, right? Imagine having to go to a school or to a class, twice a week and turn in this work and pay attention and take these notes where somebody's just constantly berating your views and your opinions. And it doesn't even have anything to do with the subject matter of the course. And this is how much the academic system is just built against you. I looked at the manual, the student manual. I was like, I got to do something about this. I got to say something. I can't keep going through this. And hang on. Got one of those little tickles in my throat. I remember I looked at the JMU student manual under harassment. What do you do when you're being harassed? It was all these things, go to this teacher or faculty member. What do you do if you're being harassed by a faculty member? It actually said, go to that faculty member and talk to them about it. Go to the person in charge of your grade and say, you stop harassing me. Are you kidding me? Like, well, way to care about your students there, JMU. Great job. And this professor too, Mark Facknitz, he would brag about how he was professor emeritus. He's like, you get to a point where they can't even give you any more honors anymore because they're never going to oust you. You're just here no matter what, and you can do what you want and say what you want. And he did. He said the most horribly inappropriate things with the most horribly inappropriate sexual language. But it was okay because he was saying it against dirty, rotten Republican wrong thinkers. And in the whole academic community is okay with that. You're okay with that. That's fine. So I came out of that program, that horrid, vile, garbage program of James Madison University's English department there. And the original plan was for me to go ahead and get the master's in English and then go ahead and get a PhD in English, But I realized, and I've talked about this before on my channel, I realized that there's no such thing as studying English literature, American literature, whatever, just literature in the English language. There's no such thing as studying literature at a higher academic level. because once you get to the master's level and certainly up into PhD levels, nobody's really studying the literature anymore. They're looking at the literature for how they can make it a tool to further their political agendas. And they do this with their critical theories, and the accepted critical theories. You got to either be a Marxist, a post-colonialist, a feminist, a queer theorist, or whatever, garbage they throw at you. These are all political agendas. These are political activisms. And they want to use literature as a tool to advance that, but no one really actually studies the literature anymore at that level. And I thought maybe I can just find the right university, and maybe there's one out there. Now, I wasn't at a place, with the resources where I can move to, some university I thought might be good. And I don't think there really are many of them out there. I think now you'd really have to go to a strongly Christian university. Like I would go to University of Steubenville, Franciscan University of Steubenville. I might trust them. But just private universities don't cut it. I've taught at Kaiser University in Florida, and they are, wow, a dumpster fire of woke mishmash, half-cocked education. But that's a whole story. Actually, Kaiser University was the university I was talking about that I didn't mention them by name when I was talking about my video of why college is, not worth it. Why it's not worth it for a college degree, because of their ridiculous policies and whatnot. But I'm just to the point where I'm like, screw it. I'm tired of sitting quiet. I'm tired of not naming names. I don't care what happens. This crap needs to get out there. They've been pulling this crap in secrecy for so long because people are afraid to stand up, rightly so. But I'm like, no, this is it. With the media and so many stupid TikTokers and everybody just losing their mind because the candidate that they didn't want got into office. It's not the apocalypse. This happens every 4 freaking years. Grow up. Grow up. And I know there are some people, I have friends in real life, and there are some people that follow my channel who aren't Trump supporters, and whether they identify as Democrats or whatever, but they have a level head on their shoulders. They're like, yeah, this sucks. It didn't go the way I wanted it. Oh, well, let's keep going. I mean, that they're adults about it. There are some people out there, and I feel bad for them. I do. I feel bad for just, your actual level-headed Democrat or your level-headed person who happens to not support Trump politically, because they're getting a bad rep from all of these people, not just your average, not just your typical TikTok psychos, but the media. I mean, oh my gosh, YouTube, like the media response, like news media, CNN, MSNBC, look at their response to the Trump, and you got people saying the vilest things about human beings. These are uneducated. If you voted for Trump, clearly you're an uneducated, deluded, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is coming from news media. Celebrities, of course, are losing their mind. George Clooney has just made an utter ass of himself, just all but coming out and saying, hey, we are the voice. You people below, you listen to us and we get the information to you. Hollywood knows it's lost its time, it's lost its power. Celebrities know that. There's a whole thing. We can get into that later, but let me continue with my main story here. So I looked for an MFA program because I thought, well, maybe it'll be different. If I'm not studying, if I'm not in a PhD program on literature, which is just going to be all political, let me study how to write good literature. And maybe that'll be somewhat different. And of course, that's going to vary schools you go to. I decided on Spalding University for a number of reasons. I liked the way they did this low residency program. I liked some of the faculty was there. And I liked the idea that they were all about, we are supportive of each other. Because some MFA programs can be very competitive. Students with each other can be very competitive. And, I don't want to tell you that about yours because it might make your work better and you might get published and I might not, And Spalding said, we're not about that. And they weren't. They're not. And they really prided themselves on being this welcoming atmosphere to everybody, no matter what, which is great, which is fine. Because like I've said, your certain parts of your philosophy or worldviews or opinions aren't on the table for a topic of conversation in an academic class, As a writing class, if somebody writes about their perspective, like there was one person in our group who was a transsexual. And none of us knew it, but they ended up writing about something, this and that. Okay, we give you feedback on your writing. We're not here to psychologically support you. And that person was like, I was so scared to say this out loud, and the faculty was just coming around them. I was like, we're not here to approve or disapprove of your lifestyle. We're here to help you be a better writer, no matter who you are, because whatever we feel about whatever politics or philosophies has no place here. This is an equal footing for ideas, for the craft of writing. But academics have no concept of that. They have no concept of not being political. They don't know how to not be political because their politics, they've been told, and they've been telling themselves for so long, their politics are right. They are the good guys. People who disagree with them are evil. That's how they feel about people who disagree with them. And that's what I found out quite clearly this week. But I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience there at Spalding before I go any farther. But my dear sound engraver threw in a $5 super chat. Thank you. Said MSN anchors are freaking out because Trump is going after them. I asked you, did you do something that warrants that? Because defamation is a serious charge. I know, exactly. Who's Trump going after? Robert De Niro, like, he's coming after me. What? No one's coming after anybody. It happens every 4 years. I've dealt with many elections where I was so unhappy with the outcome. And you know what? Life goes on. Life goes on. The world doesn't end. The country doesn't become a dictatorship, So while I was there at Spalding, it was Obama had just been elected for his second term. Okay, so I'm not happy about that. But whatever, I'm an adult. I move on. But I go there to the residencies and whatnot, and everybody, the faculty members, they've got Obama stickers all over their laptops shoving that in your face, and everybody's talking about it, this and that. You're being forced to read material on how great it is, that we've got Obama as our president again. And I'm just, it wasn't as bad as the JMU English program, Master's in English program, but it was the same kind of thing. I remember we was mandatory. We had to go to this talk where they were talking about some of these faculty essays for this, I believe, and whatnot. And I was sitting next to one of the women. There's like 3 or 4 women who kind of run the program at Spalding. And somebody on stage said something about, look, I think universal healthcare is a great idea, because Obama hadn't quite passed his healthcare yet, but that was kind of in the fight or whatever. She's like, I think this is a great idea. Or no, maybe it had been passed or whatever. And everybody started clapping. And even the faculty member, one of the people who runs the program next to me is just clapping. And I'm like, I'm forced to be here, and I'm forced to hear your politics. Could you imagine if this was the other way around? Could you imagine if somebody on stage had said something contrary to that? Is it appropriate for people to boo them? Then why is it appropriate for the program to applaud this? But they have no concept of this. They have no concept of how to stay politically neutral. And so I had to put up with that the whole time I was there. And it got so to the point where, I don't really watch news, and I don't watch, CNN. I don't even watch Fox News. I really don't. I just don't watch news. And it got to the point where I was just so sick of being silenced, of being, to some level, it's an unpersoning. If you have these opinions, you're not allowed to voice them. You're not allowed to have a voice. Sit down and shut up. We were in a hotel because it was this low residency program where you go there for 10 days of really writing boot camp before you venture into a semester of one-on-one work with your mentor, through the mail. And I would fall asleep every night with just Fox News on the TV in the hotel, just to feel like I had somebody, like I wasn't a crazy freak. There were other people that agreed with me, because that's the narrative that the media, the leftist media, tries to push on you. That's why they're freaking out so hard now, because suddenly there's an election with hard and fast numbers that says the majority of the country voted not the way you want them to. And they're just losing their mind about this, right? This isn't America. I thought it was. I'm leaving, whatever. It's nonsense. And, but that's the way they want you to feel in the academic world if you're a wrong thinker. So it was a pretty rough experience, but I thought, well, it's not as bad as it was at the GMU Masters in English program. So whatever, I got through it. And I stayed in touch with some people, but then when Trump was elected, certain friends that I had from the program would fall off because they were attacking me. They were like friends on Facebook or social media, my private social media accounts, right? Not the ones that I just welcome out on YouTube or something like that, but private social media accounts for my life sharing and whatnot. And yeah, I'm not going to be silenced on my private social media account. I'm not the type of person that would ever go on to another person's social media account. Like if, let's say, I've got plenty of friends who were voting for Harris, and they were talking about how upset they were, this and that. Only a jerk is going to come over there into their thread and go, how dare you be upset, blah, blah. That's their opinion, and they're voicing it on their own forum in their own space. Great. But you don't get that courtesy if you're a dirty Trump supporter, because they'll come onto your forum and you post something, they'll come and tell you, how could you, blah, blah, blah. So it became abundantly clear, and this is faculty and students, but there was a forum, a forum for alumni at Spalding University for the MFA program, because there's a forum there where alumni years and years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years out of the program can still network with each other. They still get, ideas from each other. They still get job opportunities, things like that, So a good idea, right? The day after the election, I went to that forum, and first there was a fellow alum who posted this word of the day, and I forget what the word is, but the definition of the word was when you've escaped a great evil, but suddenly that great evil returns. All right, clearly a commentary on Trump being reelected. And I saw that and I was like, I'm so freaking tired of that. I'm so pissed off that I just have to swallow that, and that they would never tolerate the same being done to them on the opposite side. Then the guy who runs the whole Spalding University Alumni Association posted that day, the day after the election, I know a lot of people are hurting, and a lot of people are so upset that they probably can't write today, so let me just give you some encouraging words. I'd had it. I'd absolutely had it. I said, this is nonsense. I responded to both of those posts. I said, would you have posted this if Harris had won last night? You're being political. You are being political. You can't say, let's keep it politics free and keep posting this kind of stuff. I said, what about people like me who actually support Trump or have politics different to yours, who are having to just swallow this and have, I said, I've had to put up with, 4 years of this in the program when I was there. It was horrible. You would not believe the vilest insults and the ways that group came after me to attack me. And at first, it was just other people in the group, right? Other alumni. And these are people who they're so programmed by the leftist media. They're so programmed to think that Trump supporters are dirty trolls overtaking our country, that when one finally shows up on their radar, they just let loose their vitriol, And I would not give their vitriol back. I would say, no, look what you're saying to me. Look at how you're treating me, all because I have different politics. How can you, they were telling me to sit down, shut up, insulting me, and trying to give me these emasculating insults, anything they thought could get me, upset. And I just wouldn't get upset with them. I just kept showing them, the logical, look what you're doing. And of course, then the head guy of the alumni situation or group comes back and is like, I worked very hard on that post and I was trying to be very compassionate. I said, look, your motives aren't the problem is you're being political. And I know that the faculty, the women who run the MFA program, they're in there in the group. They saw what was going on. One of them even posted, oh, dearest ones, let's not get political in this group. Let's hold a space for healing. You're being political. Don't tell me not to be political when I just called you out for being political. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. But these people in the academic world are so used to believing that they are on the side of the angels. And if you don't agree with their politics, you're a dirty troglodyte. Get the heck out of here or shut up and pretend that you do. Those are your only options. And my comments were being deleted left and right. But you'd be surprised how many people reached out to me that day. How many people reached out to me personally, privately, because they didn't feel comfortable. Rightly so. They didn't feel comfortable coming up and saying it outright. So many people were saying, thank you for saying something. I've been having to deal with this too, and I hate it. But Spalding doesn't care. They eventually just ousted me from the group. They don't care. So I say this because there are people who be looking for reviews, and I'll cut this out as its own video, is Spalding right for me or whatever. If you have leftist politics, then go for it. They'll welcome you with open arms. If you dare not to agree with the leftist political, towing that line, if you dare support Trump in any way, you're human trash to them. In fact, you're not even human, and they will let you know that. They will let you know that by people will treat you that way. They'll pretty much tell you that. And the faculty, no one reached out for me. No one reached out to me from the faculty. They didn't give a crap about me. They wanted me to shut up and or go away, preferably both. And so they ousted me, and that was fine. That's the Spalding University's MFA program, and their care and their support and their compassion for each other. The academic world is becoming more and more irrelevant. And again, I'm talking about in the arts and in the humanities. I don't know. Obviously, you can't be a doctor unless you go to college, right? So I'm not saying it about every program you would major in or whatever, but I would also say too, unless you've got a reason where you really need a higher degree in an art or in a humanity. Like I was a teacher, I was already teaching. So if I could achieve an MFA in my field there, then I would get paid more for teaching what I teach. So that was one of the reasons why I went there. But if you're just going to be a writer, you don't need these programs. You really don't. The good thing about these programs is that they force you to practice. They force you to do the writing. They give you deadlines, and that's immensely helpful. But that's not worth the money they charge at all. And it's certainly not worth the post-traumatic stress you're going to feel even long after, because you are told that you don't matter, your opinions are horrible, keep them quiet or we will come after you. That's what this program, that's what Spalding University, and no one reached out to me. None of the faculty members came and said, hey, I'm sorry you're being treated like this, I'm sorry you feel like this, can we talk about this? Maybe let's not talk about this here, but let's hash this out. Clearly this is a valid point you're bringing up. No, everybody calm down. It's like being in school, and let's say you're in kindergarten, and the person next to you, the kid next to you, hauls off and just smacks you across the face, like for no reason. And you're like, what the heck? And the teacher walks over and says, everybody stop fighting. You guys stop fighting. Knock it off. What do I have to knock off? But it's even worse than that, because they're complicit in it. They're the ones being political. They're the ones making you feel like you are a piece of crap because you don't share their opinions. And these are the people that are writing our fiction. These are the people that are being hired by films. There was a script, concentration, a screenwriting concentration at Spalding. These are the people going into Hollywood and so forth. And this is why the entertainment industry is what it is. It's more about preaching than it is about telling any kind of stories, art story, So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. I'm going to make a video, cut that video out, just reviewing Spalding's program, because it's the nature of it. It's the nature of it. And even these programs that say, no, we're different, we're supportive, we're compassionate, they don't care. They don't care. And these are people, faculty members, who thought the world of me until they found out I didn't have the right politics. Then, oh gosh, get out of here, you troll, you goblin, you unhuman, thing. And that's the narrative. That's what people are being told by the media. And it's so beautiful this week to see them experience the horror of the fact that they're no longer relevant, right? I mean, because that was a big thing with the mainstream media, the big channels, the big hubs, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, because even Fox News pulls their shenanigans as well. And they realized we actually don't have the power we thought we did. We were very clear on telling you who to vote for, and you didn't do it. And the candidate who won actually went off on podcasts and other, and didn't go to the celebrity endorsements. And that person won. How dare you people? And it's disgusting. It's disgusting that the left is having such a hard time realizing this, that adults disagree with each other, and that's okay. I mean, it's just... It's infuriating, and I just decided this week I'm done. I'm done staying quiet about it. I teach my students. Luckily, where I teach right now, it's a fine program. I'm sure this nonsense goes on at this program. I'm sure political nonsense goes on at this program because it's an academic program. Luckily, I teach online, so I don't have to deal with. And I'm an adjunct. I'm not a faculty. If I was a faculty member, then yeah, I'd be having to do the little, let's do a diversity, so focus group and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to worry about any of that. And I tell my students at the beginning of every class, I say, look, I'm teaching you writing. Or even the students that I teach literature to. this isn't a forum. I said, I know college professors, and you've gotten this a lot, I know, use their classes as a platform to make sure you're thinking the right things about the world, to preach their worldview to you. Their politics usually, but sometimes, whatever. They try and preach these philosophies to you. I said, look, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you express yourself as a writer. So whatever, you're an adult, whatever ideas or philosophies you have, I'm just here to help you better communicate them. And you'd be surprised how many students I've had come up to me throughout the year saying, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. Because it's just that we're sick to death of being talked down to being condescended to being told to shut up, that you're not allowed to have those opinions. You definitely better not have them. If you've heard it from Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck, do not repeat it in my presence. I'm Mark Facknitz and I'm a good guy. Just this kind of it's just absurd. These people are absurd, and they're finally getting called out for it. And I see them in the media getting called out. I see celebrities getting called out. I think it's time the academic world gets called out for it. And I hope more people like me get some courage and actually speak out against it. Speak out against the specific experiences you've had. Don't let these people get away with this crap. Mark Facknitz should not in any way still be teaching a class when he's called us all a bunch of teabaggers, sexually derogatory language, and finding ways to preach his message in a class that has nothing to do with that. People, the people at Spalding University should be utterly ashamed of themselves. The women who run that program should be ashamed of themselves. They don't care. They want you to have the right politics, and if you don't, we don't care how you were treated. Get out of here. You're not of any use to us. The academic world needs to be called out, and more people, and that's going to take more people who've had experiences in the academic world to actually stand up and start talking about the experiences they've had. Start naming names. Start calling out the universities. I know it's scary to do when you're in school because these are the people that hold your grade in their hand, and the professor's God in the class. They can always make sure you fail. It's getting to the point now where students can cause more and more and more trouble, especially when, it means the university's not going to get rich mommy and daddy's money anymore. But it's still, you've got the power as a professor. So it's frightening to speak out against that. And then if you work, if your work situation, I get it. You're thinking, well, I'm worried about my job. But if we're all too worried to speak out about it, they'll continue to treat people like this. And they don't get to do that. It's horrible. They need to stop. So that's what I got to say about that. I've been going on for a while here. Let me see what the chat's up to. Promise we'll get back to some next week we'll talk about Batman Resurrection, and I'll talk about some other Batman related content, because I also read Batman Year 2, and I reread Batman Shaman, which is so great. Well, so I'll be talking about a lot about Batman fiction. Next week's going to be, unless something big happens this week that changes, next week's going to be all about Batman comics. So Michael Skimbody, you can just start getting excited now, my friend, because next week will be all about some Batman fiction, new and old. So let me see what's going on here in the chat. Imagine if hobbyists said, it is ironic some, especially Hollywood types, are telling others how they should think, be friends with, or who they want to be fans with, fight dictatorship. I know. It's absurd. If you heard, look up George Clooney's comments. He was so mad that people were tired of celebrities giving their opinions and whatnot. And he just came out with this diatribe like, we are the voice and we tell people below, give them the information. And Michael Keaton even, and I dearly love Michael Keaton. This hurt my heart because he's one of my favorite actors. I've loved so many of his movies. Now, to his credit, he didn't come out and call anybody names or dehumanize anybody who wasn't, voting for Harris. But he came out and did a couple of videos, and it's just so condescending. He's sitting there with his ball cap on, and, hey, guys, if you're going to go to these rallies, Trump doesn't want to hang out with you. They don't care about you guys. They don't care. Oh, okay, well, an actor told me that, so you got it, Michael Keaton. It's one thing if you've got like a degree in political science or something, and you're going to speak from your special expertise in this or that, but it's so condescending anytime a celebrity uses the platform that they built for their singing, their acting, their whatever, and suddenly they say, oh, well, I have a platform, so now I'm going to speak my politics on it. That's a dirty bait and switch, And Hollywood doesn't get it. They still don't get it. And I hope that people's careers like George Clooney, Julia Roberts, I hope they crash and burn now. Robert De Niro, no one needs to ever go see a movie that man's made any, ever again. Now this is going to piss some people off, but I don't care. This needs to be said too. Thankfully, the normies have more of a backbone than the fandom menace, because the fandom menace is not fighting these Hollywood elites. The fandom menace is keeping them relevant, is keeping them in power, is keeping them funded through all the tickets and all the views and all of the reviews and all of the everything, because they're part of the machine, right? The fandom menace is part of the same machine that woke Hollywood is. It's just a money-making machine. I'm going to speak against you, and you keep putting out what you do, so we both get money, and yay, that's... I'm glad normies have more of a backbone and more of discernment and can actually walk away from stuff, as we've seen, this week, which is a beautiful thing. Sorry that needed to be said. Final Fantasy said, yeah, whoa, geek talking about Batman. Yeah, next week's gonna be all Batman, because I got into a real one day, Nathaniel's Loseball. One day I'll do some kaiju. One day I'll talk about that. But seeing how crazy our cultural entertainment industry went this week, and they're no longer relevant because we can go elsewhere for entertainment, or plenty of people like myself just go back to the great stuff before. And I just got so sick of it. So I would go back, and I was reading this book, Batman Resurrection, and I thought, let me go back to that first movie like I did. And I've been looking up old news stories and kind of reliving that Batmania from 1989. That was so wonderful to go through. It was so great. And I think if there's any hope for the cultural entertainment industry in the future, it's to go back to what was in the past. Not in the way that Hollywood wants to, not rehashing a bunch of things or just pulling, we'll get Michael Keaton to play Batman in the Ezra Miller Flash movie. There, see, you got what you wanted, guys. No. Hollywood needs to go away. I think Hollywood needs to die. In terms of like the industry, like, Trump talked about draining the swamp, in Washington last time he was elected. We need to drain the so-called swamp of Hollywood. We need to get the people in power out of there. We need to get people who actually want to listen to the audience and listen to the fans and not feel like they're the entitled elite who get to tell us what we want. No, we tell you what we want, and you do it. You shut up and dance, monkey. That's what you are. You're an entertainer. You're not a lecturer. You're not a professor. You're not a political science major. You're an actor. Shut up and act. Do what we want you to that entertains us, and we'll pay you for that. That's all there is to it. All there is to it. Shut up, Clooney. So anyway. Yes, Proctor. How about we just abandon the swamp and resettle somewhere else for entertainment? Amen. Amen. True. I agree, AL. Hollywood lost touch with actual people. They've been in their echo chamber for too long. It is an echo chamber. And they've Hollywood, news media, even a lot of the leftist ideologues. And again, I always try and specify leftist ideologues because I know there are people who might just have leftist politics and they're not like this. And good on you. If you're that person, if you hate Trump, but you're an adult and you're like, whatever, let's move forward, I applaud you. I really do applaud you. Thank you for not being crazy psycho like the rest of people from your political camp. But they've fed this narrative so long, and they've spent so much time and energy building up this narrative that they are the majority. It's the evil lunatic fringe. Remember how many times do we hear it? Those MAGA extremists? They're, our president, Joe Biden himself, they're a problem. They're like terrorists, blah, blah, blah. How much time can you spend othering and condescending to people who disagree with you before they rise up en masse and take over the country, which is what we saw with the election, the majority, the popular vote and the electoral vote, that hasn't happened since Reagan, I believe. That's a big deal. That's huge. And that's why people are just losing their minds. This country isn't what I thought it was. Well, yeah, because you were believing a lie. You were too busy pretending that everybody had to agree with you in order to have basic human value. And you've got some issues. You got some problems. Go get that worked on. Oh, boy. See what time it is. Oh, wow. I did not feel that long. I guess I had a lot to get off my chest. It's almost an hour. Not quite yet. I'll still be going for a bit. Stephen N., the sitting president literally called half the country garbage. So much for unity. I know. And the way that the media tried to come around that and pretend he didn't know, it didn't, shut up, it's no big deal, move on. Are you kidding me? Imagine, I remember hearing, I saw a clip because I don't watch, occasionally I'll watch some YouTube clips here and there if I see something. And Whoopi Goldberg was like, what's the big deal? How many times has he called us Marxist? You are Marxist. That's not a derogatory term. That's a label for a philosophy, a political philosophy, which you share, which you hold. What's wrong with calling you a Marxist? So we get to call him garbage. We get to call those garbage. Like, does not compute. These people just have no sense of reality. Thank you, AL. I appreciate it. It's okay. Let it all out, Prof. Yeah, if there are a lot of other people like me. Conservatives in the academic world, some of you maybe, I know some people who watch my channel, maybe just not be here tonight, have the same experience. And you have to pretend that you're not who you are if you want to exist and get along in the academic world. And that's garbage. It's ridiculous. And I'm not saying we should be able to wear our Trump t-shirts to class and all this kind of stuff. I'm saying that climate should be politics free. And the liberals aren't allowing it to be politics free. They want it to be a place where they can preach and show forth and talk about their politics all they want, but you can't because you're a dirty wrong thinker. And that's not okay anymore. It's not okay. We need to stand up and call this crap out more and more and more. Somebody was trying to, I think you were like funnily trying to spell his name. His name was Mark Facknitz. I think it was like even Mark R.A. Facknitz. And that was James Madison University's English program. Then there's Spalding University. I think now it's called like the Sina Jeter Naslin program for writing or whatever, because she was the woman that started it. But it's their Spalding MFA program. And again, these are just two little programs. There are way more out there. Way more out there. These are the two graduate programs that I had dealings with. I started my master's in English at Villanova, actually. Pennsylvania, and I didn't sense it so much there. I really didn't. Now, maybe, and Obama had just been elected at that point. Now, I transferred from Villanova to finish it out at JMU, but the students were obviously, everybody there, there's no question about what side of the political spectrum they were on, but it was starting to get there. I remember, I think it was just my unique experience, because I do remember waiting outside a classroom for my class to begin, and I remember there was a woman professor in there talking about Obama, this and that, and she was just falling all over herself. So yeah, it's everywhere. I was going to say maybe it's not as strong at Villanova, or at least it wasn't, but no, it was. It's every school, and it's disgusting. Have whatever politics you want. College should not be the place to preach your politics. I think tenure professorship is an evil. I get why it was a good thing back once upon a time, but we're not in a world where that even remotely applies anymore. Tenureship now is a place where is just a tool to keep tyrants safe in the classroom and to keep people preaching things that have nothing to do with the course. Imaginative Hobbyist said, these days it is the industries outside of the America that are producing entertainment like that of classic Hollywood. Case in point, 2022's Rise, Roar, Revolt. That was epic. I don't know about that. Never heard about Rise, Roar, and Revolt. Not sure what that is. But interesting. Studio 96 Film says, I'm a man of color, and there's this expectation that men of color should toe the line and believe what the left believes, and we seemingly are talked down to and apparently don't have a voice. You're absolutely right, because what do they call you? If you're black, if you're Hispanic, and a lot of people voted for Trump who were black, Hispanic, women, and so forth, well, you've internalized that racism. You've internalized that misogyny. You've internalized, they'll say the vilest things to you. Suddenly your race doesn't give you any points with them anymore. It's absurd. My dear Sound Engraver said, boy, that is ironic. They say America isn't the country they thought it was because all this time the people they opposed were too scared to talk. And you know what, just afraid to talk or whatever, like in the academic world. But I think one thing too is that a lot of people who voted for Trump the first time or this last time just aren't abrasive, in your face people. We're people that like, okay, yeah, you can have your viewpoints. Yeah, I don't agree with those, but whatever. Like we're adults. We can live, we can coexist with people who don't, but they spend so much time condescending and trying to minimalize and reduce us in every which way. Then they can only do that but so much before we rise up. That's exactly why Trump got elected the first time. It's exactly they learned nothing. It's exactly why he's elected the last time. And in their response to the election, they're just doing the exact same behavior. Let's condescend to you more. Let's reduce you even more. Let's keep insulting you. And all you're doing is energizing people to get into that voting booth who maybe normally wouldn't necessarily go to the voting booth, wouldn't bother. Yeah, it's ridiculous. All right. Going to wrap up things here in a few, but just checking in with some more things. Undercover Brother. What is that? Private Eye in Retrospectiva. Not sure about that. What did you say in Ghost Planet? Ted Danson from 3 Minute and a Baby did an un-PC gag. Drove her insane and over the edge. He's also atheist nut. I don't think I'm quite sure what you're saying. Are you talking about Ted Danson? I don't know. I don't follow these celebrities. I just know like if I see a clip or that, I was trying to do a little research for this video and I saw a few things. Obviously this week you're seeing a lot of it. But celebrities used to be kind of royalty. Going back all the way to like the 20s and 30s and 40s, they were the royalty of America because America doesn't have royals and screen, glamorous, individuals. And that was what, you kind of followed for fun and whatnot. And then over the decades, especially after the 60s, you got people, I've got this platform. Now I can start preaching some politics. And I think people finally got tired of it, which is a beautiful thing. Yeah, sounded good. They used to be the rebels. Oh, okay, Private and Retrospective. It's a 2000s film. What do you say? Sam Proctor said there's a bit of drama at Brigham Young University this week with the geography professor denouncing his Trump voting students. Oh my gosh. And some of the students clapped back. Good enough for them. I heard, my undergrad alma mater, UVA, they were planning a walkout. Students were going to walk out at 2 p.m. because they were so mad about Trump. And I guarantee none of them got, any kind of held accountable for that absence or whatever. It's just ridiculous. But that's crazy. Brigham Young University of all places. That's crazy. Imagine being a professor. I don't care what you're a professor of. Even if you're a professor of something like political science, you don't get to call your students names. You don't get to say they have the wrong politics. And they call us the fascists. They call Trump the fascist when they are fighting so hard to make sure that you're not allowed to disagree with them. Who's the fascist? Who's the fascist? You tell me. That is absurd. It's just unreal. And they don't get it. There's this like mental block. They can't understand it. They want their cake and eat it too. They can't handle it. All right, guys. Well, I am feel better. Got it off my chest. Feel better. Thank you for listening. And quite a few people in here too. Actually, I don't usually get this many. I didn't think it'd be that big of a deal tonight because I'm not talking about a a typical story or comic or geek related thing. But like I said, next week I will come back and it's going to be like, unless something big happens this week and kind of changes the course, next week will be all about some Batman fiction. I'll have finished Batman Resurrection by then, so I'll review that. I'll review some of the other great comics I've just been kind of falling into, wanting to go back to the 80s and 90s Batman stuff that I love so well. Kind of in a Batman mood, until Thanksgiving anyway. So we'll talk about that a lot next week. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you commenting and contributing to the conversation there. But hope you guys have a good week. Don't let anybody condescend to you or push you around. Speak up. These people need to be called out. But till next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue fiction you love, and I will see you next week.